Welcome to the broadcast. My name is John Mayfield, the real estate tech guy, and hopefully we are broadcasting loud and clear. So have a kind of a wide angle lens on. So I've got a couple of different places where I can actually do some of the recording and video. So there we go. Let me stop this right over here. So I think we are broadcasting loud and clear, so we're good to go. So let's, I had some questions that came in from, and I am recording this, so I will send this out to all of you. If you have to leave for some reason a little early, don't panic. I will send a copy of this out to everyone, and I'll also put it in the course dashboard as well. I do want to mention that I had one of the students, hopefully you're watching tonight, who had some questions on the practice exams, and he wanted to know more specifically how to answer some of those. So I printed all of these pages off. Now, I did not have time to recreate slides for these, so I apologize. So I'm just going to have to read this to you, and if you want to take some notes, and I'll try to put some information on the screen as well. I'm looking for my marker here. So basically, just kind of understand that's kind of, unfortunately, I don't have it to put on the slide, but hopefully you can write down some notes and make some good notes here. And we'll go through each one of these together, okay? So, first of all, any type of feedback you can provide me if you see something. As I went through a few of these questions, there was a couple of little pieces missing. And, keep in mind that I go through these questions as much as possible, but sometimes it's hard for me to miss things that possibly you might see. So if you ever see something, even if it's in a response, where I give you the answer, if I've made a typo or something, I'd love to get your feedback, and then I can correct those as well. But here's the first question. Let's take a look at this, and I think this is my the live shot here. I think so. So first question here is, Cindy owns a vacant lot that measures 200 by 225. So we have a vacant lot and it measures 200 by 225. Now, anytime you see in the course where they give you a measurement, the first measurement is always going to be the street measurement, or what we call the front foot, okay? So this lot measures 200 by 225, and it tells us that she lists the property for $350 per front foot, okay? So what is the front foot? It's the street, it's the first number. So this is our front foot. I'm going to abbreviate that FF. So she listed for $350 or $350 per front foot, okay? So that's what she listed it for. Well, how many feet did we have per front foot? 200. Again, if you see a question and they say 200, the lot is 200 by 225, the front footage is the first measurement they give you. The first measurement in the lot will always be across the street, or the front foot. Now, Broker Dole, the question says, charges 7% commission. So we know we have a 7% commission. So we'll put that in right here. And it says if Dole sells the property for 90% of the list price, what will the broker receive? So we know if they listed this for $350 per front foot, what would that be? So I'm going to take $350 times 200, that's our front footage, and that gives me $70,000. That would be the list price. The question said if it's sold for 90% of the list price, what would broker Doe's commission be? Well, this is two T problems, okay? And I'm going to come back over here to the front camera so you can see all of this with me here. So we have two T problems. The first T problem, let's figure out what the lot sold for. Remember, it sold for 90%. Remember, with our T problems, we have part, total, percent. I know we've got a lot of new students on. Maybe you haven't had a chance to watch the T problem or the Math Made Easy. The P, part, is always going to be the smaller number, right? And the T, which stands for total, is always the bigger number, okay? Percent, we figured that out. Well, 70,000 and 90%. Well, we know the 90% would go right here, okay? We can figure that out. I always like to move my decimal place over 2 places, so that would be 0.90. The question is, where does this 70,000 go? Well, think about this. 70,000 is the list price, right? If it's sold for 90% of that, wouldn't the smaller number be whatever it's sold for, 90%? So the 70,000 is the list price or the total. So we would put 70,000 down here because it's the bigger number, right? We're solving for the smaller number. Now here's what you have to remember with the T problem. Whenever we have, I'm going to grab another marker here. Whenever we have the T problem, what does our math tell us to do? Well, if we have both the bottom numbers, our math tells us to multiply. Okay? So 70,000 times 0.90 gives us $63,000. Okay? That is the sales price. Why? Because it's sold for 90% of the list price. All right? So the second T problem we're going to work now is to find out the commission, because that is what the question is asking us. What will broker Doe's fee be? Remember, part, total, percent. We have our math symbols on there. What's the sales commission? 7%. Let's move our decimal over 2 places. So that would be 0.07, right? Because we're going to have to go out 2, so we have to put a 0 there. Now, is 63,000 going to go on top or bottom? What are we solving for? The commission. Will the commission be less than the sales price? Absolutely. So 63,000 goes down here. And what does our math, we're always going to get 2 variables in the problem. So if we have the bottom 2, what's the math symbol? Multiply. So we take 63,000 times 0.07 and we get $4,410. That is the broker's commission. Now, this is a classic example of a math problem you will probably see on the examination. They want you to work too deep, okay? Occasionally you'll get one, a softball, where they want you to work one deep. But generally, they're going to have you try to work two of these deep, okay? So you work one problem and you take that answer that we got and put that into the second problem, okay? But the answer is $4,410. This is a real classic math question you could see on the exam. Hopefully you understand how to do that. Now, I apologize, I'm not able to see the text questions, or pardon me, any text that you are sending in, but please send me an email to john@globalrealestateschool.com and I can answer any questions you might have on those, all right? Hopefully you understand this one, so I'm going to mark this off. Thank you again for sending these questions in because I think they're very beneficial and helpful. Because I understand that not everybody gets the questions as easy as others can. So I put college algebra off to my senior year in college and wrote an essay and told the teacher why I needed to pass. So, by the way, I'm in my studio. We just moved into this home. I don't have the lighting quite right, and they finished off part of the basement, which is great for our office. In my old studio, my wife had painted a Marlite board for me, but the wall has the splattered text, which is okay. So we just put one big board here. And sometimes I do the math problems as you see going through the modules on my iPad. So I thought, well, I can do some of those on the iPad. But tonight I thought I would do these from the studio just so we could see how the lighting is. But I have to buy some different bulbs and some different lights to kind of bring this up a little bit. So my apologies. Anyway, we're broadcasting live from the new studio downstairs. My wife fixed a wonderful dinner for me, and I quickly ate and got down here, so that's why I was a little bit late. All right, so we're going to the next question. Mrs. Trokey purchased a lot that contained 970 square yards. I hate these kind of questions. Square yards, square meters. I must have had the flu or something when I was in school because I just don't get some of this stuff, but this could be a test question. So Mrs. Trokey purchased a lot that contained 970 square yards and had a front footage of 78 feet. How much did she pay for the lot if she purchased it for $3.25 per square foot? Now, this is one of these things that you have to put in your memory bank, okay? To convert square yards to feet, you have to multiply times 9, okay? So if there's 970 square yards, we multiply, the first step we do is take 970 times 9. 9 is the conversion from square yards to square feet. Okay? So 970 times 9 equals 8,730. Now what is this? Remember, this is square yards. The 9 converts it to square feet, so this is square feet. Okay? So we have 8,730 square feet. Now, how much did she pay for the lot if she purchased it for $3.25 per square foot? Notice in that question, though, they also, and the exam people are notorious for this, they want to give you more information and stuff that you don't need. So before that, it says, and had a front footage of 78 feet. Well, we really don't care what the front footage is, do we? We just need to know what the total square footage is. So when we take 970 times 9, it gives us the total square footage. So that's 78 front foot. It's just stuff in the question to try to boggle your mind, okay? You got to be careful and understand that. So how much did she pay for the lot? If she purchased it for $3.25 per square foot, you just multiply that by 0.325, and the answer is $28,372 and I think 50 cents. Okay, now I'm going to double check because sometimes I do these. I'm doing a class, and I think I'm doing everything correctly. That's 8,730 times 3.25, and it's 28,372 and 50. So sometimes I do a class, and I'm off a few pennies or a few dollars, and a student will tell me they've worked that problem 5 or 6 times, and they can't come up with the same number than I came up with. They're off by 20 cents, and I used a 365 day instead of 360, and here's the long story short of that. Don't worry about it. If you get within dollars or we're off a few pennies, your calculator may be different than mine, but don't panic about it, okay? All right, next question. Larry Davis purchased a township from Farmer Grant plus another parcel of 120 acres. If Larry paid $1,000 per acre, how much did he pay for the farm? This is a question where you just need to know the terminology. You know, I did this great little interview with a friend of mine, and we're going to have to redo it on a Zoom call because the audio had some feedback on it. He does a lot of stuff on YouTube, and he's a good friend of mine. And we were both at a conference last week in Austin, Texas. And I said, "Oh, Joe, I got to do an interview with you." And so we did this great interview, and we'll redo it because we plan to do a Zoom meeting. So I'd rather do it in video anyway. But here's what Joe was saying. Joe said, "You know, you've got to know the vocabulary." And you hear me say that as well. You've got to know the definitions. You've got to know the terminology. And so in legal descriptions in Chapter 6, we talk about townships and sections, right? So a township has how many acres? And if you haven't gotten to Chapter 6, don't panic. But a township has 640 acres. Pardon me. A section has 640 acres, right? And this, let's see here, there are 36 sections in a township. And so there are 648. So I need to move this. I just was doing some math there. So within a section, there are 640 acres. Now, there are 36 sections in a township, right? So we would just take 36 times 640, and that would give us 23,040 acres, okay? Now, when we read this problem, it says Larry Davis purchased a township. This is what he purchased from Farmer Grant. So he purchased 23,040 acres. Plus, it says, another parcel of 120 acres. So he purchased another 120 acres. So we take the 23,040 and we add 120, and that gives us 23,160. That's how much acreage he purchased. Now it said he purchased that for $1,000 per acre. So we just multiply that times 1,000 and we get 23,160,000. Okay? 23,160,000. Here's a side note. If you create a really cool product that people would pay $1,000 for, and you could sell 23,160 of those products, you'd make $23 million, okay? But basically, that's how that works. So you need to know this, that a section has 640 acres, a township has 36 sections. They love this type of a question on the exam. There is a question that, in fact, you have it in your notes, where a person bought a section plus 5 acres and paid this much. How much did he pay for it? And the answer is you have to take 645 acres times the amount they paid for it. And so understand the terminology, the vocabulary, and then know what it means, and you'll be able to solve the question. That's very well could be a test question right there. Now, the following legal description contains how many acres? And here's the legal description. And these are really easy to do once you get these. So it said the south half of the southeast quarter of the northwest, actually it's northeast, sorry about that. Northeast quarter of the northeast quarter of section 7. The following description contains how many acres? The south half of the southeast quarter of the northeast quarter of the northeast quarter of section 7. Here's all you have to do to solve this problem. Put 640 in your calculator. Now, why are we putting 640 in our calculator? What did we just learn in the last problem? Section 7, a section equals 640 acres. We also learned in the last that a township equals 36 sections. So that would be 36 times 640, right? Which was, I think, 21,000 and something, but anyway. So put 640 in your calculator. And then we have 640 in our calculator. I just want to get to a different colored marker here. The south half, divide by 2. The southeast quarter, divide by 4. The northeast quarter, divide by 4. Of the northeast quarter, divide by 4. And there's 5 acres. See how I did that? So it's just 640, divide by 2, divide by 4, divide by 4, divide by 4, 5 acres. That's if you can remember, there's 640 acres in a section. Okay? So just divide that. And if this was the half, you just divide by 2, right? So you're just dividing. You're either going to have halves or quarters, either one of those. All right. Now, this is an interesting question. We never know what they could give you on the exam. So doing this legal descriptions reminds me of years ago when I had my I had to go and teach this for 4 hours at night. I had a classroom in the back of my real estate office, and I would work all day teaching. And then at night, I would, like, my wife would bring dinner up, and the kids would come up. We'd eat dinner in my office, and then I'd go back to my schoolroom, which was right behind the office, and I would teach for 4 hours. So I'm kind of getting like deja vu all over again. But it's really cool that I can do this from home, and we can do this live streaming so you can watch this from your house as well. So this next question, talks about which section is bounded on 4 sides by section 10, 14, 26, and 22. Wow. Well, don't let that freak you out, because let's talk about section. Let's talk about a township. Remember, township equals 36 sections. And a section equals 640 acres. So if we wanted to find out the acreage in a township, take 36 times 640, right? Okay, so what's a section look like? Or a township, pardon me. Let's take a look at a township. And we'll look at a section as well. So here's a township. Now, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now I'm going to go across this way. This is part of the Government Rectangular Survey System. And my apologies if they're not even, okay? We always start, so this is north, west, east, and south. We always start in the northeast corner, and we count over to 6. We drop down like this. See how I'm doing that? I'm going to explain a couple of things here. Okay, so there's 36 sections in a township. Inside, so these are sections. So what's a section? There's 640 acres in here, right? Now, why did they get to 6 and drop down to 7? Well, they're surveying and they're carrying chains and they're out in the woods, and it's like somebody said, hey, Frank, why do you want to walk all the way back there and start and come this way? Why don't we just drop down and go back that way? It'd be a lot easier on us. And Frank probably said, you know, that's a great idea. Let's do that. So I don't know if that's what happened, but they were surveying with, 640 acres is a long piece. And so they get out here with all their equipment, and rather than pick it up and walk all the way back and start back over, they just dropped down and went back that way. Okay? Now, 16, the proceeds from 16 were given to the school. So those were the proceeds. So the dollars from 16 were given to the school. So the question said, which section is bounded on 4 sides by 10, by 14, by 16, and by 22? Well, the answer would be 15, right? And that's the answer. You may have to draw stuff like this out. You're going to have paper you can use, and if you need to understand how this should be easy for you to remember how to draw this out, draw it out and then read the question. You should be able to solve the answer. Okay? Excuse me. So by the way, other things you need to know here, this is 1 mile. by 1 mile, which means that a township would be 6 miles by 6 miles. Okay? Saw question, got the L there. Saw question, you have this in your material. Farmer Grant buys 1 square mile plus 5 acres, paid $2,340 per acre. I don't know what the number is in your question. How much did Farmer Grant pay for the property? Well, if he bought 1 square mile plus 5 acres, he bought 640 acres and he bought another 5 acres. So they love those kind of questions. So you know 1 square mile by 1 square mile is 640 acres. If it says he bought 6 square miles and he paid X number of dollars, then you just take 36 sections times 640, get the acreage, multiply that times the number they give you in the question, you can solve the answer. Okay? Classic types of questions, those are some things that you need to know there. Okay? All right. Now, there is one legal description that must include airspace above a datum. Which of the following is this type of description for this requirement? There is one legal description that must include airspace above a datum, and the answer is a condominium. Remember, with a condominium, you're buying a block of air, so there's airspace above the datum or the benchmark that we talk about. Now, I know some people might say, well, you know, John, I don't remember you covering that on a slide in the material. Well, maybe I didn't cover it on the slide in the material, but I just covered it here, okay? Now, don't panic. Sometimes some students, and I don't say this in a mean way, please don't think this in terms, but sometimes I have students that really get defensive if they can't make 100%, and they just want to like rip me to shreds because I didn't cover the topic, and I did, maybe I didn't cover it till your exam, and I'm doing that for a couple of reasons. Number one, I want you to be prepared on exam day. So if you see something that's really weird and it's like, I haven't covered that, or we haven't seen that before, and hopefully that doesn't happen, but I don't want you to freak out and panic, because test anxiety can cause you to miss 4 or 5 questions you may otherwise get correct. But if I can start, you know, I'm your coach, I'm your teacher. If I can start preparing you now for the big race, when you get out there on the field and they throw a curveball at you and it's like, wait a minute, I don't know what this answer is, I've never seen this before, you're not going to panic or freak out, because John's been doing that to you throughout the course, okay? I don't look at your grades. The Real Estate Commission doesn't look at your grades. I'll be very honest with you. I've been selling real estate since I was 40. I've managed up to 40 agents and have recruited a lot of agents. Some of the worst real estate agents I had did like mind-boggling great on the exam. Now, I'm not saying I had some that did very well, okay, as real estate agents, but I'm just saying some of my best agents were the agents who just squeaked by, you know, or took the test several times. So don't worry about the scores, and don't panic if you say, well, that's not fair, we haven't covered that. You know what? You might remember that question because you didn't recognize it, and it's like now you know the answer to it. That's going to register and probably sink a little bit deeper into your memory bank. So I'm just trying to give you guidance and direction, and to also encourage you that don't be upset if you can't get all the questions right. I want you to, you know, if I just throw softballs at you all the time, you're going to not prepare like you should for the test. So we don't cover that type of question in the material, but we do in the practice test, okay? So that's why you should take the practice exams. All right, I don't mean to get on my soapbox, but some people really get, I get some people that really get upset with me because I didn't cover it in the course. Well, or I give you a question before we've actually covered it. Again, it's just a teaching technique that I'm trying to prepare you for the exam, and it's worked very well for me. And it's thundering and lightning here now, and you probably heard that. So, okay. All right. Here's another classic question that has a bunch of information in it, and you only need 2 pieces of information, but they give you a lot more. So let me read this to you. Edna owns a home valued at $260,000 with a 10% interest rate for 30 years with a remaining term of 25 years. The home was valued at $260,000 and assessed at $220,000. If the tax rate was 0.2%, what are the assessed value? Now, we don't really care about the home's value. We don't care about the interest rate. We don't care about the number of years, the term. That's just extra information. The only thing we're concerned about is what? The home was valued at $200,000. What's the annual tax? I'm sorry, that's kind of blocked over there. The home was valued at $260,000 and assessed at $220,000. The tax rate's 0.2%. What are the annual taxes? Well, all we have to do is take the $220,000, the assessed valuation, times, and it said it was 0.2%. We need to move this decimal over. When we do that, we get 0.002. See that? How we got that? Now we just take 220,000. What's that tell us to do? This is going to give us our annual tax. 220,000 times 0.002. And that's $4,000. Or pardon me, it is $440. $440. Now, I was looking at this, and the gentleman who sent me the questions in took $4,400, and I know what you did wrong. You didn't add that extra zero. Probably you took the 220,000 times 0.2, 4,220,123 times 0.02. Yeah, and that would give you $4,400, but it's 0.02% is what the question has. So since it's 0.2%, you need to move that out 2 places. When you do that, you have to throw an extra zero in there, okay? So that's what you did wrong. And that's a good example of, that is really a free question. But by messing up on your decimal place, you just gave up one, and now you're down to 29 more that you can miss because you have to get a 70% on the national. This, you don't want to miss this type of question. So I just wanted to kind of calculate to see how you missed that. And you just took the 220 times, and you put 0.2 in your calculator, and that does give you 4,400, which is one of the answers. But if you had moved your decimal over, added the extra zero, you would have gotten $440, which is the correct answer. Okay. Hopefully that helps you out there. Carr's property was assessed at $75,000. Bard's property was assessed at $92,000. Which of the following is the most correct answer? Well, remember with taxes, it's called ad valorem, or according to value. And with taxes, the person with the most expensive value will pay a higher tax rate, okay? So the correct answer is the ad valorem tax on Bard's property is higher than Carr's. Why is that? Because remember, Carr's was assessed at $75,000, Bard's was assessed at $92,000. So remember that ad valorem, hope I pronounced that correctly. They took phonics out of school when I was a kid, and I have been forever taunted. That's why I had to give up being a disc jockey. I used to say, and that's James Taylor up on a rough. And I remember the program director coming in saying, "Did you just say rough?" I meant roof, I'm sorry. So we got to have fun. It's Tuesday night, and we're studying real estate and math, right? But ad valorem, according to value. The person whose value is higher is going to pay higher tax than the lower value, okay? All right. Now this question, this one, they love these types of questions. You've got to be really careful here. If Mr. Smith's semi-annual tax, key word there, semi-annual tax, on his $120,000 home is $243, and the tax rate is $6.75 per 1,000 of assessed value, what's the assessment ratio? Well, you have to take 243 times 2 because this is semi-annual. And when we take 243 times 2, we get $486, and this is the annual tax right here. Now, we've got to kind of work this backwards because it says the tax rate is $6.75 per 1,000 of assessed value. Okay, so this, I'm going to take the 486 and I'm going to divide it by $6.75 because it says the tax rate is $6.75 per 1,000 of assessed value. Excuse me. Now, notice this is just a T problem. This is $6.75, and this is 486. Okay? When we divide that, we get 72. Now the question says the tax rate is $6.75 per 1,000 of assessed value. So this needs to be multiplied by 1,000. That gives us $72,000, right? Now we work our final T problem. 72,000 is going to come on top here. And it said earlier in the problem, the value of the home was $120,000. What's our math tell us to do? It tells us to divide. So we put 72,000 in first, divide by 120,000, and I get 0.60. And when you move that over, you get 60%, which is the answer. All right? So the answer was 60%. So again, key things, semi-annual, you got to take it times 2, get the annual tax, divide by the tax rate. We'll give you this number and multiply that times the 1,000, which will give you 72,000. And now we just take the lower number, the smaller number, assessed value, divided by the value of the home, we get 60%. So I'll read you the question again. If Mr. Smith's semi-annual tax on his $120,000 home is $243 semi-annual, the tax rate $6.75 per 1,000, of assessed value, what is the assessment ratio? Well, we just worked all that in. So hopefully, I know those are kind of tough questions. Sometimes, I'll be honest with you, on exam day, you might look at the question and be able to plug the answers in and work it backwards until one of them fits. Just don't forget these key words like semi-annual and annual, quarterly, because they love to use those, and you've got to convert everything and be on top of your game, because those little errors, they'll figure out what you might do wrong, and that will be the answer. All right, just a couple more and we'll be wrapped up for tonight. I appreciate you watching. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. I will, like I said, I have recorded this and I will put this online for us. Okay, the current value of a property is $255,000 and it's assessed at 35% of the current value with an equalization factor of 1.25. What is the amount of real estate tax due if the tax rate's $3.50 per $100 of assessed value? So the current value is $255,000 and it is assessed at 35% of its current value with an equalization factor of 1.25. I don't think you'll see a question like this on the test. You could, and I would rather you be a little bit prepared. So the first thing we have to do is apply this equalization factor. So I'm going to do a T problem. I always like to label this. We have 255,000 and this is 1.25, okay? So if I take 255,000 and I multiply it by 1.25, I get 318,000. I'm going to put this here. 318,750. Now this is one time, because it's an equalization factor, that we're not worried about moving the decimal over, okay? And probably we don't even have to worry about this T on this. Again, I don't think you'll see a question like this on the test, but all we're trying to do is equalize the value. Sometimes tax districts that are lower in value have to apply an equalization factor to raise the assessed value up so they can collect the proper taxes in order to pay all the bills for the county government. So now the question says that it's assessed at 35% of its current value with an equalization factor of 1.25. So now we just multiply that times 35%. And with that, I get 111,562.50. All right? There, it says, what is the amount of real estate tax due if the tax rate is $3.50 per $100 of assessed value? Well, we need to divide this by 100 to find out this number, which is 1,000. Let's see. So this is 1,115.63. And now we multiply that by $3.50. And I'll repeat this. We'll go back through it. And so the answer is $3,904.31. So the question says the current value of a home is $255,000. And it is assessed at 35% of its current value, $255,000, with an equalization factor of 1.25. So we just multiplied 255 by 1.25 to come up with the new assessed valuation. Now it says, what is the amount of real estate tax due if it's $3.50 per 100? So we had to take this times 0.35 to get the assessed value, divide by 100 to get this number, and then we multiply it times $3.50. So again, we applied the equalization factor. It's assessed at 0.35%. That's the assessed value, and the tax rate's $3.50 per 100 of assessed value. Now, if this said per 1,000, you would just divide that by 1,000. But it says per 100, so we divide by 100. So that's the number we get here, and then we multiply that times $3.50, and we get the annual tax. Keep in mind, they could want to know what's the quarterly tax or what's the semi-annually tax. So you really have to read those questions carefully. And this question here, another tax question to kind of go over. I think I have two questions, this one and one more. So again, hopefully this was helpful for you. And we'll try to start doing some more live streaming now that we've got things set up here in the basement. Bob Jones owns a home that is valued at $75,000. If the tax rate is 7 mils, what is the annual tax Bob would pay? Well, in this specific example, I need to add, if the tax rate is 7 mils, what's the annual tax Bob would pay? You need to divide 7 mils by 1,000, which is 0.007. So 7 mils divided by 1,000 equals 0.007, okay? That gives us our tax rate. Now we just multiply the value of the home, 75,000 times the mil, 0.007. And that gives us $525. So that's the taxes. Now, why did we divide 7 mils by 1,000? Because 1 mil is equal to 1/1,000, okay? So, you know, if we multiplied 1 mil times 1,000, we would get, if we would divide 1 mil by 1,000, we would get 0.001. So it's just, anytime you see a mil, just remember that it's 1/1,000. So in this problem, it says Bob Jones owns a home that is valued at $75,000. If the tax rate is 7 mils, what is the annual tax? Well, 7 divided by 1,000 gives us our mil rate. So here's the value of the home. That's all. It just shortcuts it than all the other stuff we were doing. So makes it a little easier. But just if you can remember that 1 mil is equal to 1/1,000 and how we got that there, it will help you out. One more question. And this one I can't see real good because I meant to look that up because the answer block is covering this up, but I'll try to do the best I can here. So, I might be able to, let me see if I can pull this up real quick on my other computer here, and maybe I can read this question a little easier. So let me pull up Storyline and practice exams. Bear with me for 1 second, because I did promise. By the way, anytime you have some questions you need some help with, reach out to me. I'll try to get to them as soon as I can. These were a lot of questions, so I felt really bad that it was taking me so long to get these done. And I told the gentleman, I said, why don't I do a live streaming and go over these, and that way I could, help some other students that need these. If I get a chance, I'm going to put this live streaming up. If I get a chance, I will try to type the questions with that, but they're in all of your material in the practice exam. So I just need to do a quick search here for this question, and then I could read it more carefully. And it has to do with a commission split. So let me go right up here. Gosh. Let's see. It's really thundering outside here. I'm going to type in Mayfield because here it is right here. Good. Okay, here's the question. So let me go. I know I'm kind of at an angle here, but Mayfield Real Estate offers to split the commission equally with any cooperating brokerage in Farmington, Missouri, or any buyer's brokerage firm in the area. Terry Duncan, a licensee who works for a buyer's broker, has an arrangement with his broker that he will receive 60% of the firm's share of the commission on any property Terry sells. Assuming a 6% listing commission fee to Mayfield Real Estate, how much will Terry Duncan receive for the sale of the property that was listed for $220,000, sold for $215,000? Well, couple of things. It says that there's a 6% commission and it's sold for $215,000, okay? So sold for $215,000, that's the bigger number. We know that. We're solving for commission and it's sold for 6%. Remember, 6%, we move our decimal over 2 places, so it's 0.06. So what is the total commission? Well, the commission's $215 times 0.06 is $12,900. Now, it said earlier in the problem that Mayfield's going to split it equally with any broker that sells it. So if we divide that by 2, how much will Terry's broker receive? $6,450. That's the co-op fee. Now, we work another T problem. And we need to look at this, $6,450. That's the total commission. We're now looking for the part, which is Terry's commission, right? And how much did the problem say Terry arranged with his broker? That he was going to get 60% of the firm's share. So this would be times 0.60, again 60%, just moving my decimal over. Math tells us to multiply, same thing it told us to do here. So the answer then is $3,870. Another classic question you could see where you have to work 2 problems deep. So again, that's in your practice questions, but they told us the house was listed, but what it sold for. They gave us the commission rate. We got that. They said Mayfield would split it equally. We got the co-op fee, and we knew Terry was getting 60%, so we multiplied what the broker got times 0.60, and Terry got $3,870, which is what I hope you will earn on your first deal or more after you get your real estate license. Really cool. I heard from an agent this week that she just wrote her first contract and she's going to get paid. Another one of my really cool guitar students from Kansas City, I don't know if she's watching or not, because she's licensed now, so they maybe don't care. But anyway, I just saw on Instagram, because I like to be friends with all of you, add me as a friend on Facebook or Instagram, and I just saw where she just got 2 new listings, so some of the agents are doing very, very well. So, well, there you have it. There's a bunch of questions. We spent 1 hour online going over some things, so hopefully this was helpful. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions. Stay in the material. I know it's summertime, but you know what? The fall, I'm telling you what, some of my best months as a real estate professional were from September through January. I mean, I'm telling you what, it's as big as the springtime. So you want to stay focused, you want to get your license, you want to pass the exam, and please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or need help. Send me emails if there's anything from tonight you didn't understand. All of these questions are in the practice exams, and that's a good point I want to kind of reiterate. As you're going through your main course, remember that anytime you want to review on the main dashboard, there is a module called Review Modules. It's like a big yellow sticky note and it says Review Modules. Those are all unlocked, which means you can go up to the menu and you can drop all the way down, take the flashcards, or go wherever you want to in the module. In the main course, everything is locked because I have to do that for the Real Estate Commission. I can't let you just fast track through the course. So, if you're through module 6 or 7 now and you want to review the first 3 or 4 modules, go into the review modules and do that. But you can also go into that module on your home dashboard called Practice Exams. Now, one other thing, sometimes people will say, I can't find that module. Sometimes if you take a module like Practice Exams, it might put it in the completed section. If you'd go all the way up in the top left corner, there's a home button. When you click that home, it'll bring all of the courses you're signed up for there, but you can always check the completed or not. But all of these questions we went over tonight are in the practice exams. I'm going to strip off, because I always do this, I'm going to strip off the video segments and plug them into the questions. So whether you get it right or not, if you need more help, you can click on that little icon and it will help you out. Or I'll also have this in the study sessions section. Okay, thanks for watching. Hope this was helpful. Have a great evening and keep studying hard. You're going to do great. Thank you. Bye.